going on, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of The Loud Bostonian. Today, I'll be doing my review of the Netflix original series, The Umbrella Academy. The Umbrella Academy is a comic book adaptation from the Dark Horse comic. Full disclosure, I had never read this comic book, but after watching the first season, I picked up a few issues on my Comixology app, and I went right through the first two graphic novels that they had available. Pretty weird shit, if I'm going to be honest. The series does a good job of kind of, while the series does go all out, they do a good job of picking and choosing certain things that work in reality and certain things that don't. Now, there are things in the show that they do in the comic similarly that are just wild, but I gotta say, right off the bat, this show is great. It is literally the best version of X-Men that I've ever seen on the screen. Obviously, there's a lot of similarities between the two. Premise of the show is a whole bunch of children are born on the same day, all across the globe, unexpectedly, from from women who weren't pregnant. So they just get pregnant and give birth within minutes. And this rich billionaire guy, adventurer of sorts, basically the atypical old safari guy with the twirled mustache, goes around and picks up as many of these children as he can to raise on his own. Now, I don't know what reason he decides to do this. They don't dive into it in the first season, but he decides to pick up all these children and raise them as his own. And as it turns out, all except for one of the 7 children that he adopts have superpowers. Now, the show doesn't really delve too much into their childhood. I mean, in flashback sequences it does, but there's no developmental period in the first episode. We just have all these children. The show shows them come together, and then immediately the show jumps into their lives as adults. And that's where the show really thrives, because the lives that these people live after being, children superheroes is fantastic. They have horrible lives, and they have real life problems, and they are such unique characters. Every single one of them is so different from the next, and it's just a great show, and the actors really come to deliver. Ellen Page is in this. She's probably the most notable actor in the series, and she actually is the one character in the show who doesn't have powers, the one of the 7 who doesn't have powers, and she does a great job of playing this just unappreciated sibling who kind of gets looked over, was never allowed to go on missions, that sort of thing. And she gives a great performance. I haven't seen her in a lot of things recently. I liked her in Juno. I liked her in Super. I liked her in a lot of movies that I've seen Ellen Page in. I haven't kept up with her recently at all. And to see her in this show, you assume maybe she's doing television. She's not getting all the big A-list movies that she probably used to get. But I actually really liked her, and I thought she was great. And the other actors who, again, I don't know the names of any of these actors. I've never seen them in anything before in my life, except for maybe Diego, the character Diego. I might have seen him in some one-off TV shows or whatever that I might have seen. He looked familiar to me. But anyways, this show really hits its stride when they chose the dysfunctional chemistry between these characters who are supposed to be, stepbrother and sister. It's just great. It's great. It's when it comes together, it's great. And there's some great action set pieces in this. The powers in this show are unique. So the siblings are all numbered, 1 through 7. Number 1, the actor who plays number 1, Luther is his character's name. He has super strength, but again, super strength is one of those things that on a low budget TV not low budget, Netflix has got a pretty big budget as far as TV shows goes, but if you're not in the big movies, like the Marvel movies, the DC movies, you can't really showcase super strength that well. So it's, in most TV series that showcase it's got its ups and downs. You see him doing some crazy shit, and then you see him doing things that are all right. There's one instance. So this is going to be a non-spoiler review, guys. I'm not going to dive into any plot details or anything like that. But there's a scene in this where you see Luther grab a suitcase and throw it kind of far, but I saw him toss a guy farther earlier in one of the episodes. So to see him throw a briefcase only that far, that seems like one of the a small bit of special effects they could have used. Just have that briefcase soar like a mile into the the wilderness or whatever. And so his character is unique, and I don't want to jump into what is going on with his character so much, but he has a sordid past where his father had to perform an operation on him, and when it's revealed what that operation is, it is crazy. And it's one of those instances where they take the content from the comic, adapt it into the show, and it's just mind-blowing that they actually decided to go this route, because everything else is pretty grounded, not in reality, but in more of a believable sense. And then when you see this, you're like, wow, that is straight out of a comic book that they did that. And I liked it a lot. I really did. It makes the character who is supposed to be the leader of this team very vulnerable, and I really, really liked that angle. I'm going down the list. I think number 2 is Diego, and his ability is kind of weak. It's honestly just throwing knives, but he can throw them very well. I'm sure that they're going to, in future seasons, they're going to jump more into what his ability really is, which I'm sure is like insane accuracy or something akin to like a bullseye or a like Hawkeye's having a super, not that Hawkeye has an ability, but just like ultimate marksman sort of thing. I'm sure that's what it is. His character's cool. He's kind of like the only one who keeps up the cape and cowl routine into his adulthood. I really liked him a lot. Number 3, I believe, is the character is called Rumor in the comics. I believe. What was it? I don't remember the actor. I don't remember the name of the actual actress, though. Is it, shit. I'm sorry. It escaped me. Horrible video. I'm sorry, guys. Nobody watch. Just kidding. I can't remember the character's actual name for some reason. It's escaping. Allison. It's Allison. And she has the ability to, kind of like a Professor Xavier, where she can control thought, but only in such a way that it's built that she has to tell people, I heard a rumor that blah, blah, blah. And then that rumor takes hold in their mind, and that is how whatever she tells them is becomes truth for them. So kind of interesting. Number 4 is I want to say it was Ben, who is a character that dies in the series, and that's a slight spoiler, but you learn it in the first episode. He's one of the show starts off with him already being deceased, and so you don't really learn too much about him other than when he was a kid, his ability was that he could like summon monsters from like another dimension to like kind of like morph through his body and like attack. You see in one scene when he's young, like Kraken arms coming out of him and like ripping people to shreds. And it's pretty cool. But the show starts off with him already deceased, so he is not a major player in the first season. Again, I'm sorry, I said no spoilers. That is a slight spoiler, but you'll learn right in the first episode, so I don't feel bad telling you that. Number 5. The character number 5, I don't know if it ever says number 5's actual name, now that I'm thinking back on it. They always refer to him as number 5, everyone does. He is a teleporter who can also time jump, so obviously every superhero team's got a time jumping teleporter, but he's got a really cool story arc, and he's actually got some of the best action in sequences in the show. So he, as a child, jumps into the future, and then he's gone for 30 years, and then he jumps back. But when he jumps back, even though he lived 30 years in the future, he is back in his 13-year-old body with the rest of his brothers and sisters all being in their like late 20s, early 30s. So he's got a really interesting dynamic because he walks and talks like a full-grown adult, but he's a 13-year-old. I like him a lot. His character was awesome and super imperative to the plot of the show. He was very good, and like I said, he's got some of the best action set pieces in the show. Some of the best storylines are with him. Number 5, that was number 5, I'm sorry. Number 6 is the character of Klaus. Klaus is awesome. Klaus is just this super eccentric, like over-the-top gay character who's also addicted to drugs, and he was absolutely my favorite character in the show because he's so fucked up from his ability that he literally has become a junkie over the course of time, but he's just, every time he's on the screen, he steals the scene, in my opinion. His ability is that he can communicate with the dead, and you'd imagine that ability in general would lead somebody to be fucked up. So the fact that he dives so heavily into the drug use that he could literally like tune out dead people is amazing. And obviously the obvious arc for that is over the course of the show, him getting sober and him being able to reuse his abilities and actually learn new abilities in the show, which is really cool. And he was absolutely my favorite character in the show. And then obviously number 7 is Ellen Page's character, Vanya, who has no abilities whatsoever. Anyways, the show's really cool, and it's obviously got one of these end of the world, come together as a team again, come together as a family again, plot lines, and it's really cool, and it's super on the nose, and you kind of figure out, I figured out without having read the comics within the first 2 episodes where this was going. Honestly, it still paid off, even though I knew where it was going super early on. I was eager to see how it got there, and all these different plot lines and all these different, character interactions. It was really cool, and they were so dysfunctional. But this small screen adaptation, 10 episodes, is how you do it. The DC shows over on the CW were all great. I liked all of them that I saw, but I had to stop watching them after a while because 22 episodes is a really long time commitment, and I feel like you could hammer out these storylines in 10 episodes like Umbrella Academy did and just nail it, and then you're going to have multiple seasons where people are really interested in coming back. I fucking love this show, guys. I really did. I watched honestly, I don't have time anymore with kids to really binge TV shows as much as I used to. We able to get it done in one weekend. I got this done in one weekend, no problem, and I couldn't wait to continue watching it. I actually want to try to get my wife to watch it too, because I think she would have liked it, because the characters are so quirky and odd, but that's a fight for a different day. Anyways, I loved Umbrella Academy, guys. I hope you guys watch it. I can't wait for season 2. Let me know in the comments who your favorite character was in the show. Let me know if you really liked it, or if you hated it, or if, it was just for you. Anyways, let me know. Hit the subscribe button, like the video, and we'll catch you guys next week.